Hello, my name is Pete Seckler, and I'm the Director of the Community Solutions Group at GAI Consultants. I'm happy to present Chapter 4 of our Rolling Hills Community Park Master Plan update. This focuses on the Phase 1 Master Plan, the connected multi-purpose trail, and thoughts about the future vision of the park as it develops over time. This will draw heavily from the information provided in the Park Inspiration and Rolling Hills Character chapters previously presented. Our mission is to provide wonderful new places for people and a signature park for all the citizens of Seminole County. The Phase 1 park provides a connected trail system that provides the structure for the park. It connects all the places, all of the outdoor rooms, and all of the special opportunities identified in the 2019 vision. It begins the framework around which we can begin reforestation of key areas to start to enframe views, enclose space, and focus activity. We also can include special amenities like trailheads in the center, southwest, and northeast portions of the park, as well as water access at Lake Jeanette. We can also include some program elements made possible through partnership with Florida Communities Trust. The Florida Community Trust program elements include nature trails, picnic pavilions, recognition and interpretive signs, parking areas, bicycle support facilities, pedestrian and bicycle access, and landscape improvements to upland and lowland natural areas. In conjunction with the Phase 1 plan, Seminole County is completing livable streets improvements to some of the perimeter areas around the park. These traffic calming elements will allow motorists to drive more slowly, making safer access for pedestrians and cyclists. This will create the effect of civic identity for the park at key intersections. It will also allow the park to read across the road, such that a park user has a continuous experience and the motorist has the sense of driving through the park and will behave accordingly. Finally, along Raymond Avenue, we have the opportunity for some on-street parking to provide supplemental access to the park. I'd like to walk through the various areas of the Phase 1 park and trail system and discuss some of the ideas that we're beginning to develop. Beginning at Lake Jeanette, the heart of the park, the most significant lake of the park, we really would like to bring the trail to water's edge and reforest Lake Jeanette with cypress and other native wetland species to create a true waterfront experience that even includes a dock overlooking the water. You may note that we have removed the old parking lot associated with the original golf clubhouse. We've done this for a few reasons. One is that the asphalt can no longer be reconditioned, and the runoff from that asphalt is not treated, so pollutants run directly to Lake Jeanette, and we want to improve that situation in the future. By removing the parking lot, we can create a shorter connection between Andrews and Prestview Avenue with 90-degree right-angle turns. This will slow traffic and dissuade high-speed cut-through. We replace the parking with a central gathering parking lot that can support access to Lake Jeanette, access to the future playscape to the north, and a point of departure for the Arboretum walk and the stage. Finally, in terms of the ultimate vision for the park, we've cleared the path with all design possibilities available for a future garden house, event lawn, strolling gardens, and other special amenities that can come down to the foot of Lake Jeanette. Looking at Lake Jeanette, this is clearly the feature watermark of Rolling Hills. However, we can see that there are opportunities to improve the waterfront edge and environmental plantings and bring people closer to the water for that soft experience in the heart of the park. Here you see the pier, new tree plantings, and new water edge natives. I would now like to begin to walk around the park in a counterclockwise direction, beginning with the Arboretum Walk, the Grove, and the Valley. These upland areas essentially present many of the landforms available across the entire property. One attribute of the existing golf course landscape is that many of the outdoor spaces are very similar in the sense that they're wide open in the middle with a few trees at the edge, as conventional to a golf course. As we convert the golf course into a park, we want to begin to create both long views and large spaces, but also smaller spaces, medium level activity areas, and more intimate garden spots and picnic places. As you can see in the Arboretum Walk, the trail follows Marshall Drive, and then we have break-off walks that begin to explore the Arboretum area. The Grove breaks up this long green into a series of medium-sized spaces, preserving an area for picnicking along Stanley Street, a meandering trail that goes along the large existing trees near Barton, and ultimately towards the park entrance at Barton and Raymond in the upper left. From here, we'll have a trail connection to the Seminole Wekiva Trail. Moving across the park at the location of the new traffic circle, we have a valley overlook with a long view down to the water. We envision the trail sweeping across this valley overlook, providing both morning and evening views towards the lake, looking down, as well as an interesting series of views if traveling in the other direction, uphill towards Barton Street. The southwest quadrant of the park provides a different set of dynamic ecologies not seen in the upland areas. Specifically, we have a whole series of lakes that are divided by small ridges. We can take advantage of this up and down landscape by creating experiences such as the ramble and the ridge as high points and viewing locations, but then descending into areas like the Duck Pond and Crane Cove that can be developed as very special Florida wetland cypress experiences with more nuanced walks. We locate a trailhead to the southwest along Raymond Avenue and a small parking lot at the Blackwood Avenue entrance where 6 to 8 to 10 cars can park to provide supplemental access. Crossing the ridge, we'll have a dramatic view down to Lake Jeanette and back to the center of the park. The southeast quadrant of the park is characterized by long fairways in highlands settings. Here we see both live oak as well as large longleaf pine stands and fairly long uninterrupted views. What we would like to do is take advantage of those large open spaces to provide settings for outdoor play, light recreation, soccer, kites, frisbee, and those types of activities that require a little bit more space. However, we do want to subdivide the spaces a little bit. These are extremely large spaces, and by pulling the trail across the space and using trees to enclose these outdoor rooms, we can create a more humanized sense of outdoor room. I would note one particular location at Jefferson and Country Club Drive. This is a high point on the site. We call this the Meadow. As you proceed west along Jefferson, you'll notice that the grade drops precipitously towards Lake Jeanette. We need to accommodate ADA access in this area, and the slopes are simply too steep to do in one continuous run. So what we have is the opportunity to develop one of our garden feature areas towards Lake Jeanette called the Lake Jeanette Terraces. This image of the site probably doesn't do the grade change justice. If you go to the site, you'll see how dramatic the elevation drop really is. What we can do here is we can provide the continuous trail section along Jefferson, but we can provide an interactive garden experience with soft switchback paths, which are below the ADA requirement and provide easy access down the hill, leading all the way to the pier and water's edge at Lake Jeanette. The northeast quadrant of the park provides the opportunity to celebrate some of the most powerful landforms of Rolling Hills Park. This includes the areas of the gyre, the grasslands, and then the portal knolls that lead down to the stage area. I'd like to begin, however, at the far northeast, where we've located another small trailhead with a few parking spaces and bike facilities that can allow people to enter the park at this location, service their bikes, and begin their exploration of the park. We've taken the North Mall area and pulled the trail along Palm Springs Drive and developed additional tree plantings abutting the residential immediately to the west. We would like to break this area up after having been through so many large open spaces in the southeast quadrant. We think there's an opportunity here to create a little bit more of a sense of canopy and forest and shade. Coming around to the gyre, we begin to create a pathway for the trail system that will allow us in future to create secondary paths and features that can really take advantage of the grade change and landform features found in these areas along Brassey Drive. As we move along towards Carlton Street, we engage in a long slope upwards towards a location that we call the Portal Knolls. This particular spot near Art Hagen Place is essentially two small hills at the top of a ridge. When one comes through these hills, they are given a powerful view downhill towards Lake Jeanette, and this has been envisioned as a small amphitheater space for the community. We'd like to talk about this area and use it as an example of what it might feel like to ride the trail through Rolling Hills Park. Here's that view looking down. And again, this camera photo probably doesn't do the grade change justice. The slopes here really define outdoor space in a dramatic way. And as you come through the middle of these two knolls in the midground of the photo, we can create a pathway system that plays with the landform in a way that will create a dynamic landscape. Here you see the multi-use trail coming through the park, but also secondary pathways, opportunities for seating, incorporation of rock overlooks, and ultimately a small community gathering amphitheater spot at the bottom of the hill where small performances or gatherings can take place. Finally, we have framed this space with enhanced canopy tree plantings that both define the spatial enclosure but also buffer the proximate residential. So that's the summary of the Phase 1 park and trail system, which will provide a very interesting and complete opportunity for open space as a Rolling Hills community park for everyone in Seminole County. However, as stated before, this initial trail system provides the framework for ongoing investment in the park as envisioned in the 2019 plan. And I'd like to discuss that in a little bit of detail next. Here's a drawing of a potential build out of the park that really elaborates on all of the outdoor rooms described in the 2019 concept. And we'll walk through these one at a time. Let's begin again in the northwest quadrant. The Arboretum Walk and major trail system begins to articulate both small spaces, medium spaces, and large spaces in the valley. We can build around this structure to create highly detailed and intimate Arboretum experiences, picnic overlooks at the Grove with interesting walkways through the trees, a feature gateway entrance at Barton Street, and then a dramatic valley overlook looking downwards towards the lake. In the southwest quadrant, we have dynamic ecologies, but we don't yet have dynamic planting or site development, but the stage is set with the original Phase 1 trail and initial forestation plan. We can bring people into the lake edge and create a cypress experience and overlook opportunities that really bring the wetland ecology into the park experience. This will be a dramatic counterpoint to some of the upland areas and an opportunity for a different view of Florida natural communities. Looking at the uplands areas, as stated before, we have large, highly functional open spaces for outdoor play and recreation, but we do want to articulate them a little bit, both in civic terms as well in terms of spatial identification. Looking at the meadow, we can create a gateway civic fountain that overlooks this dramatic grade change down to Lake Jeanette. We can articulate some of the spaces in the South Mall to still include large play areas, but also incorporate shade pavilions and other picnic areas and a gateway crossing across Palm Springs Drive as Palm Springs Drive enters the park environment. Looking across the long green to the lower portion of the drawing, we have a long view towards actually the highest site on the entire property. At this location, we've provided an exploratory observation mound that can let people get high, see across the property, and even at night do stargazing. Moving to the east, we have the Pine Flatwoods. We've brought the trail a little bit to the south in order to preserve the flatwoods and create a supplemental play area that winds around a dog park occurring off of Daytona Avenue. The dog park can be buffered, but it's large enough to accommodate specific facilities for both large and small breed dogs and recreational open space for the dog's owners and playmates. Looking at the area at Lakeland Avenue, we have a bit of a teardrop shape. This is an ideal location for a small neighborhood playground and gathering area that's very intimate to the neighborhood residential immediately adjacent. Looking at the northeast quadrant again, this is where we can really celebrate some of the most powerful landforms of the site. We can use our initial park structure to add some amenities like a community garden near the trailhead, but also some grassland and secondary pathway systems that really explore the dramatic grade change into rain gardens, natural areas, rock overlooks, and outcroppings, and interesting bridges and other experiences that really take advantage of the full dynamic landscape in this area. Coming up the long slope, we have opportunities for overlook picnic pavilions at the knolls coming down into the stage area towards Lake Jeanette. And in the center of the park, I mentioned at the beginning that we have the opportunity to develop a new garden house that can be truly the center of community life in terms of activities and events at the park, opening down to Jeanette. And we've set the stage for that with a small drop-off area, an event lawn, strolling gardens that lead down to the lake, as well as the development of the inclusive playscape. We envision the entire playscape to be buffered from Victor Avenue and Andrews Drive, but within that buffering, a truly open play area that allows children of all ages and all abilities to come into that park and really explore different types of environments and different play opportunities. Looking at the central parking lot, we see that this can be designed in a functional way as well as in an activity way. These parking lots can be designed with rain gardens and zero entry curbs to allow for small community gatherings, food trucks, market events, and other small gatherings that can support activities in the adjacent green spaces. And they can work into the early dusk hours before the park closes at night. And finally, the playscape itself. You see in the foreground of the image a natural low area where stormwater drainage comes to the bottom of the hill. This can be accentuated as an actual stormwater area that can be dressed as a natural environment leading to the playscape with native plantings and exploratory opportunities for people of all ages and all abilities. And so that's one possible vision for the build out of Rolling Hills Community Park. We think this can be the signature park in Seminole County and beyond. This is an incredible opportunity, and we're excited to continue to build upon the vision from 2019. Thank you, and we look forward to talking with you more about Rolling Hills Community Park.